Greetings from the broadcast facilities at Grandview University. This is the Next Level Iowa. I am Jim Kirby along with Mike J., who's joining us on the phone from Columbus Junction. This is our weekly installment of the Next Level Iowa podcast, where we are tracking all of our native Iowans who are taking their talents to the next level in track and field and cross country. Mike J., of course, joins us from Columbus Junction, and he has a big weekend down at the Blue Oval as the USTF Nationals come to Des Moines, Iowa. And Mike, this is an important week, not just for the athletes, but also for Des Moines and for the future of some of the big races in our area.
Yeah, it sure is, Jim. And, it's a chance for Iowans to showcase Des Moines, to showcase Drake Stadium and the Blue Oval, like you mentioned, and just show the track and field world and the powers that be, that would be USATF, that we are worthy of hosting more championship meets. So, and the only way we can do that is to fill the stadium, and we use the term put butts in the seats, and that's what we need to do, and show people that, hey, we aren't Eugene, Oregon, but we're good, and we love track and field, and we're going to come out and support it.
Mike, what would, if we had to convince a couple people like they're listening to us right now to come down to Drake Stadium, what would convince them to come down?
Well, there are so many things that are going to be going on, Jim, with the number of past Olympians from 2012 and 2008 that are going to be here, world record holders, American record holders, those that won NCAA championships just this past spring, those that have won Drake Relays titles with a Drake Relays history, and a number of Iowans, Jim, that are going to be on the track and in the field this weekend that have been the best this state's ever produced, that are trying to get a spot on that world championship team and make the trip to Moscow.
Now, who are some of these names that people would be interested in hearing about? Not necessarily the Iowans, but some of the higher ranks, the Olympians that you mentioned before. Who could we look forward to seeing down there at Drake Stadium this week? Well,
we got world record holders. Aries Merritt in the 110 highs. We've got Ashton Eaton in the decathlon. Is quote-unquote the world's greatest athlete. Outstanding hurdle races, both the men's and the women. 100 hurdles for the women, the 110 highs for the men. There could be as many as 8 athletes in either one of those races that could win. There could be 8 athletes in either one of those races that are quality enough to go to Moscow to medal. So we've got medalists that are going to be staying home. Sonia Richards-Ross in the 400, Allison Felix, the Olympic champion, in the 200. And the list just goes on and on and on. Justin Gatlin will be here. He just defeated Usain Bolt a week and a half ago in the 100. So just outstanding competitors, outstanding competition, both from the state and from around America.
And so even though this is a non-Olympic year, is it the top 3 that go and represent the United States and the world? Is that how it works?
Yes, and the reigning world champion gets a free pass. So we'll have some events where we'll take 4. That could be the reigning champion or defending champion, and then the 3 qualifiers. But there are standards they have to make too, which are pretty in depth, and so they've got to make the A standard in order to qualify. Now they can win the event, but if they don't have the A standard, they still don't go. Mm-hmm. So just to shed just a little bit of light on that, if you remember at last year's Olympic trials, Lisa Ewell was 4th in the 10,000. Mm-hmm. But the girl that got 3rd did not have the A standard. That's how Lisa got into the Olympics.
Now, it's a big week. It's not just the competition on the track, but beginning tomorrow, we've got press conferences and all kinds of things going on, trying to get the athletes in front of the media for a little bit, to ask them some questions, to get to know them a little bit more. Now, Mike, you're getting ready to do Wednesday through Saturday PA announcing. Okay, so how do you get ready for a big event like this?
Well, it's a huge event. It's a big undertaking. But Jim, just like you, it's a labor of love, and so I just spend a lot of time on the computer. I spend a lot of time on different schools' websites. Luckily, over the last few years, there's been a lot more information available on the internet and via the web that to do homework, if you will, or prep work. So the one thing that makes it hard about doing this particular meet is most of the athletes in the junior events especially enter as unattached. Mm-hmm. So you're not sure if they're collegiate or they're high school, so thank goodness for Google. But like I said, it's a labor of love, and so I'm getting there. I'll get there Wednesday and get holed up at my hotel and continue to work.
Okay, now, without giving away our Iowa part, what's one race or two races or events that you're really looking forward to that maybe don't involve our Iowa people? What would be that one or two events that you might be looking forward to?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be able to call several of the events that are going to run on Sunday, and one that I'm really excited about is the men's steeplechase with Evan Jaeger, who went to Wisconsin and never really I hate to use the word panned out, but he didn't achieve everything that everybody thought he was going to when he was at Wisconsin as a collegiate. Well, just a year and a half ago, he switched to the steeplechase. Now he's the American record holder, and every race he just seems to get faster and faster, and he runs with a smile on his face. But the men's steeplechase is one that I'm really, really looking forward to.
Well, I made a mistake earlier. I assumed that it ended on Saturday, and of course, being a clergy person, I assumed that incorrectly. It actually ends on Sunday, and so it's a big week, and it doesn't end on Saturday. There's plenty of stuff going on Sunday as well. You talked about the non-Iowans. Well, let's get to the Iowans. Who are we looking at? Who can we be proud of to come down to the Blue Oval and watch this week?
Well, it's going to be, we've got native Iowans. The men's 800. I get the opportunity to call that race too, and that final will be on Sunday, and that may be the hottest of the men's races. There are two Iowans. One's a native Iowan, Tyler Mulder, who was a state champion at Unity Christian and NCAA champion at UNI. He is the number 10 in the world right now and the U.S. leader. He's run 144.75. Eric Sawinski, who went to the University of Iowa. He's from Waukesha, Wisconsin. Eric is the American record holder indoors at 600. And he, along with Mulder, are two of the favorites to make the team. There's probably 4 or 5 that you could, throw into a bag together and shake it up and come out and not be any worse, regardless of who the 3 were that made the team. But Mulder and Sawinski, we could literally have 2 Iowans on the team in the 800.
Now, Mike, before you get to the other one, so back it wasn't that a couple of months ago that Eric shocked the world in that 600. Talk a little bit about what that night was like when Eric went up there and won that, and not only won it, set that American record also. Well,
he was a last minute entry. One of the guys that was going to fill out the field scratched, and somehow. And I met with Eric last week and didn't ask him this question, but it'd be an interesting question. How did they pick him to fill that spot in that field? Well, long story short, he had to pay his own way out to New York to run in the Millrose games. Went out there in a running wild singlet, a shoe store he works for in Iowa City. Was not expected to even be in the mix, and come out of the final turn and pass 2 Olympians, Solomon and Simmons, and wins it in a American record time, and now he's got a contract with Nike, and life is good.
All right, well, that's a great story, and we got a couple other people. We got a Chase Madison in the discus, and of course we can't forget Shelby Houlihan.
Yep, Chase Madison prepped at Newton to be in the discus. Shelby Houlihan from Sioux City East, the All-American at Arizona State, stepping down from the 1,500 that she ran at the NCAA meet to run the 8. Lisa Ewell will be in the 10,000 and will be among the favorites to make the team. She was a U.S. Olympian in 2012 in that event. So lots and lots of excitement just from the Iowa connections alone. Then you throw in all the other world's best. It's going to be a great meet. I see no reason why not everybody would show up.
Shelby, I think she would admit that she's very competitive in the 1,500, but I think if you asked her in her heart of hearts, she really loves the 800. Yeah,
she does. And I think she moved up to the 15 for the NCAA meet. Part of that was because she won the MPSF meet, their conference meet, at the mile, and she thought, man, maybe I. But and it's just too tough to do both in the same meet
Right.
at this level. But she's going to be, Shelby, she's going to be competitive in whatever it is she's in.
She's probably got the best 1,000-yard stare of anybody I've ever seen run among females. She just has that look that says that she's going to go out and get after it.
Yeah, when she toes the line, she's not there to get second.
Well, Lisa Ewell is another great story. Lisa's a great person and such a great ambassador for the sport. It wasn't that long ago, it seems like. I remember Lisa at Fort Dodge running against the Maroons. And, when she got to Iowa State, she just really took off and really became the runner, the Olympian that she really is. It's really something. It's a great story.
Yeah, it was never a state champion. And similar to Megan Nelson,
Mm-hmm.
who's also at Iowa State, she's going to run the 10,000 this weekend too. She prepped at Xavier, had a little more of an illustrious high school career, but it was moving up in distance. They don't get the 5K or obviously the 10K in high school, and those two just excelled when they got to the high mileage and the longer races.
Well, that's another story up there at Iowa State. Iowa State coach Corey Emmels is moving on to Boise State, and so that leaves a big vacancy up to Iowa State. Do we have any ideas who might be taking over for Corey?
No, and it's unsure yet if his staff is going with him or staying at Iowa State. That's still in the process, so at least what's been publicized anyway, the word isn't out. So it'll be interesting. He's going to move to Boise State. He did some training in Boise State early in his post-collegiate career, and he's from North Dakota, so he's maybe a little bit closer to home, and so wish him nothing but the best. He did a lot of good things in Ames.
Yeah, it's a big vacancy up there and a big loss for the Cyclones and their program. He had such great success. We certainly wish the best in his career up at Boise State. Now, Mike, we have a lot of energy surrounding this weekend, USTFs, and then it's a big sigh of relief when it's over with. What happens after this big event, USTF? What do we have to look forward to as far as our kids making that transition perhaps from, peaking for these big track races that they have, and then making the transition, at least for the distance kids, into cross country? What do they have going on in their lives now that the USTF is about to wrap up?
Well, and that's a great question, and not, and most people, a lot of people, they're different. Some kids and coaches will say, hey, especially the collegiates, if they had a long season, they may be looking to redshirt in the fall and redshirt the cross-country season. Some kids will just continue to run and act as if nothing ever happened. But, it's very strenuous on the body. These kids have been running at a high level, for 9 months and or longer. So, it'll be hard to say, Jim, what they'll do, but I would like to, selfishly, and as a former coach, they're going to need some time off mentally as well as physically. The sprinters they'll completely shut it down. And so, and the throwers, I'm sure they'll be, hitting it hard in the weight room. But the distance kids, they need to back off. So we've got them fresh, as fresh as possible in the fall. But, so they've got the opportunity to take, 6 or 8 weeks, fairly easy before they, start hitting it very hard again. They're in great shape right now, and they aren't going to lose all of that. But so for the most of them, they're going to be looking at cross-country season or redshirt, I would guess. Yeah,
we can't forget the throwers and the jumpers, Mike. Thanks for saving me, because I hear it all the time from Seth Robertson over there at Grandview. We can't forget the throwers and the jumpers. They're every bit a part of those track teams as the distance kids and the sprinters, so we can't forget about them. But believe it or not, Mike, our time, it's that time again. That wraps up another edition of Next Level Iowa podcast. Join us here again next week and every week as we continue to track and cover our Iowa athletes as they take their talents to college and beyond. You can also find us on Facebook and, of course, keep track of all of our athletes on our website, www.nextleveliowa.com. For Mike J., I'm Jim Kirby. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again at the start line for nextleveliowa.com.